He just wrote a book called Trumped Up: How Criminalization of Political Differences Endangers Democracy. He also wrote a column calling on UC Berkeley to defend free speech. He is not, by the way, a conservative or a Trump supporter, but he cares about the Bill of Rights. Alan Dershowitz joins us tonight. Professor, thanks for coming on.
Well, thank you so much. You know, today, Ben Shapiro, tomorrow, me, William Buckley, you, these folks don't want to hear an alternative point of view on American university campuses, and they're prepared to use violence to stop this from happening. They are going to start protesting teachers. This is really going to spread. This is a very serious problem, and it has to be stopped now at Berkeley, the home of the free speech movement. You can't have free speech for me, but not for thee, which is the way many Berkeley professors and students want it. Free speech for the left, but not for centrists, not for conservatives, not even for centrist liberals like me. If I were to speak at Berkeley, I would be the subject of protest. That's how far this has gotten.
No, you're right. And to some extent, I blame them less. The protesters, I think, are mostly just idiot trust funders who will grow out of this. Where are the adults? That's what I'm bothered by. Where are the old-fashioned liberals who used to defend free speech? They are silent in the face of this. Why?
Well, I think everybody today is terrified of being accused of being on Trump's side. That accusation is made against me all the time. If I defend free speech, I'm an attack dog for Trump. If I defend the criminal justice system, civil liberties, the Constitution, you have to choose sides today. You know, my grandmother, she was an immigrant from Poland. When I would come home and tell her, Grandma, the Brooklyn Dodgers won, she'd say, yeah, but was it good or bad for the Jews? I understand that. But today, is it good or bad for conservatives, good or bad for liberals, good or bad for women, good or bad for gays, good or bad for Latinos? Everybody takes sides, and if it's not good for you, forget about it. We don't want to hear the other point of view.
How do you have a country that's divided in the way you describe by identity politics? What holds it together?
Well, that's the problem, and we need adults. We need college administrators. It's largely the fault of college administrators, presidents of universities who listen to the squeaky wheel, faculty members who some of them lead this. By the way, students often follow radical faculty members, and I really do think that universities, particularly public universities, Berkeley is a state-funded and federally funded public university. It has an obligation. It's not a matter of choice. It must defend the First Amendment. If Ben Shapiro is not allowed to speak, the First Amendment will have lost a tremendous battle today, and that's why this is a very important event in the history of our rights.
I just couldn't agree with that more vehemently. And as I've said, for the second time, you and I are on the opposite sides of a lot of important questions. Really quickly, tell us the reception that you have gotten from lifelong liberal friends to the things that you have said on this show and others over the past 6 months. How have they taken it?
Well, they think I have changed sides. You know, I'm a liberal Democrat. I voted for Hillary Clinton. I would vote for her again. I'm just reading her book, which I love. I want to see DACA renewed. I support gay marriage. I support the entire liberal agenda, but the liberal agenda means free speech for all. The liberal agenda means due process, not only for people who you support, but for people who you vehemently oppose. It was a dictator in South America who once said, for my friends, everything, for my enemies, the law. And we don't want that to happen in America, that we turn the law against people we disapprove of. If you don't like them, vote against them. If you don't like Ben Shapiro, don't listen to him or even boo him. You know, under the First Amendment, a person who's a critic of Ben has the right to get up and go boo or hiss, but he has to sit down then. He has to allow him to finish the speech. He can't be shouted down. I was shouted down at the University of California at Irvine. I'm less polite than Ben. I'm from Brooklyn, so I just out-shouted the people who try to shout me down.
I bet you did.
But yeah, but, you know, the university has an obligation. The speaker comes first. His right and the right of his audience to have that communication trumps everything. And Berkeley must do everything in its power, including the use of the police, including expelling students.
Because it's the most important thing.
Absolutely.
You're describing the liberal agenda of 1973. I think things have changed. But I'm glad you're here to remind us. Thank you, Professor.